All right, if you can hear me, bear with me a second. I'm just trying to get this live thing and make sure it's working right. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. Thank you, Stock Market Mindset. All right, let me drop that. Let me go ahead and drop that in. All right, give me a second here. Okay, so that's done. And then also copy. My bad, y'all. I'm still learning this. So bear with me. I'm definitely still learning this whole live thing. Um, I was no, that ain't it. Um, yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Not the technical, not the savviest, right? All right, cool. All right, good. Thank you so much for the ones. So thank you. All right, okay. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tensho. I hail from Zamunda Profit Squad. Um, the Discord that I'm in. We are options traders by nature. Most of us are strat traders, ICT traders, etc. So what this is just going to be a part of a weekly series. What we do is we go over the sectors and kind of look to see how the week is, set up, how it finished, and what's potentially setting up. We're going to be looking at the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and then also the quarter. Now, if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them. I like anything that I do, Zoom sessions, whatever, to be more interactive. I didn't really set aside a specific time limit here. So if you do have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to ask. Um, yeah, and we'll go from there. Let me just get this out the way. If you do have any interest in signing up with the Discord or whatever, I put the link in the description. If not, that's cool either way. The whole point is that we want you guys to learn. We feel like the key to becoming better traders is through the education. We're not necessarily results driven. We're more about the education because when the education kicks in, the results will surely follow. All right. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Hopefully everybody had a great week. If you were on the side of, the Bears, you probably didn't, uh, depending on a certain ticker. But I mean, depending on the ticker. But if you were trying to like short SPY, probably did not have a great week. Um, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So um, with SPY, right, as you can see, we've hit all-time highs. Let me go ahead and turn down this volume. As you can see, we've hit all-time highs, and it's about time. I've been waiting for this thing to hit 500 since like 1965, man. And it's about time we finally did it. Finally got over it. Finally got over the hump. Beautiful TTO over here on the quarter, and then obviously you see it kind of more elongated on the month as well too. Just to keep it really straightforward and simple, SPY is, green across the board. FTC is bullish across the board. I wouldn't necessarily draw my broadening formation just yet, at least not the top part of the broadening formation, although it has made higher highs. But we don't have any signs of exhaustion, no shooters, nothing. So I wouldn't necessarily draw that broadening formation just yet. Um, I don't necessarily have a target for you since we're all, since we're at all-time highs. Psychological target probably would be 510, 520s, if we're going to continue to push. As strat traders, we trade what we know to be true. We are objective traders. We are not subjective traders. So right now, the charts, on all of the major time frames are showing bullishness, right? Starting from the quarter, 3-2 up on the quarter, 2-2 continuation on the month. That is a PMG setup to the downside, but again, I'm not seeing any signs of exhaustion on the month, um, just yet. So I wouldn't really be thinking, hey, this thing is about to reverse on me. Same PMG setup on, excuse me, not the same, but also a PMG downside setup on the week. But again, if you've been paying attention to the chart, it seems like any pullback has been met with a reversal right back to the upside. I mean, with the exception of this candle here on January 2nd on the weekly, SPY has been basically green since October, right? So it's been an amazing run. It's been amazing to see, as well too, right? And some of the sectors that are driving that is mostly the tech sector, AI, Nvidia, the chip sector has been kind of driving that as well too. Not to mention historically, election years do tend to be bullish. Obviously, that doesn't mean that we're going to be green the entire year. So if you're brand new to this, don't think that that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, historically speaking, election years do tend to be bullish. Um, I'm not the type of guy to sit here and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna get a pullback soon just because, we're at all-time highs. My advice to you, I don't pretend to be this an all-knowing guru or furu or whatever the hell you guys call them on social media, but, um, trade what the chart shows you. That's my advice. Trade what the chart is showing you. If it hasn't given you a reason to think bearish, then I wouldn't be thinking bearish right now. If it reverses, I mean, who knows what happens this week? But if it reverses, or at the very least we get a shooter, then yeah, maybe we can start thinking about, potentially a pullback. But right now, no. For me, I'm not seeing anything. Honestly, the same thing with the Qs, jumping straight into the Qs. Um, I like the Qs a little bit better personally, right? It just seems, less convoluted. Um, and it's mainly in purely tech, right? Again, anybody who's just joined in, because I see the number of viewers going up, thank you so much for the support. This is interactive, so if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask as I go along. But yeah, Qs, kind of showing the same thing, right? 3-2 up on the quarter, uh, obviously in force, TTO to the upside. You see an even smaller TTO here on the monthly. We got the 2-2 continuation. Like I said, because we're at all-time highs, I don't necessarily have a specific level, or target, I would say, where, hey, we might exhaust. But psych level, probably 440, maybe 450. Just doesn't seem, for now, just doesn't seem to be slowing down at the moment. And just like with SPY, right? Every time you see a little pullback, we see the run up here, pull back, run up, pull back, run up. That's all it's been doing. It's just been basically TTOing, to the upside on a smaller scale, but obviously on the larger scale as well too. The Qs the quarter and the monthly time frame, and then on the daily, same thing. We got a 2-2 continuation to the upside. This is an old broadening formation. I will probably update it once we have hit some sort of exhaustion. But as you can see from the old broadening formation on the weekly, there's technically still room for the Qs to run up. So again, unless the chart tells you that it's time to go bearish, as a strat trader, I would just, trade what you know to be true and what it's showing you. as of this moment, right? IWM, because I know my Zamunda people love themselves some IWM. So we're not currently at all-time highs with IWM, but I do like the setups that we're seeing, right? So on the quarter, we got the Holy Grail setup, aka the 3-1, right? But when I'm looking at charts, I love to see things like this, right? Apparently, we hit a level of support on the quarter, right? And we're bouncing off of that. Hence, we went three, we went outside quarter. Currently inside on the quarter, but as you know, we're only in the second month of the quarter. We have until the end of March, so quite possible that we take out that quarter level, the 205.49. We're very close to it. I think about $6 away, right? With an ATR of $3, of course, that's definitely possible to get that done by the end of the month. Lot of insight so far on the month, right? Obviously, the month is not, this monthly candle is not closed. I think we have about 3 weeks left of February. But the ones signify the consolidation, right? So we had consolidation last month after an amazing 2-2 continuation. Had some consolidation last month. Looks like, let me just, I'm always curious to check the always curious to check the 50. Yeah, so it looks like basically, we keep hitting, the 50% of the previous candle. And yeah, we're bouncing off of that and staying above. So the bulls are definitely trying to, continue to, keep price up. So yeah, there's definitely a possibility. That's the quarter entry. This would be your monthly entry for IWM if you're specifically trading that at 201.62. So definitely a possibility if we're bullish this week. Yeah, that we go 212 continuation to the upside, and then that would be your first target from a monthly standpoint. I'm sorry, that would be your entry, and your first target would be 205.49. Sorry about the confusion. Your monthly entry would be 201.62. Your first target would be 205.49 on IWM. Double outside on the week, right? Actually, there's a couple of tickers that I was looking at, last night that definitely did that double outside on the week. The Bulls definitely stepping in force. So yeah, we're looking for the 3-2 continuation to the upside, right? This would be if we get that weekly entry breached, we're looking at 199.55. So potentially this week we can get the weekly entry to the upside, go 3-2. That could take out the first target of 201.62, which also would flip the month to go 2 up. And then also the 205.49, if you take that out for the first in this week, then yeah, you also need to be aware of that. You go 3-2 up on the quarter. So this week could be a pretty good week for IWM. And we're just close to going TTO to the upside on the daily as well too. We got a nice 2-2 continuation on the daily for IWM. Very close to just going TTO to the upside. I mean, I would imagine, I think the weekly, yeah, I believe weekly entry and daily entry are the same. In order for it to go TTO, oh, maybe it did TTO already. Well, yeah, technically yes, but I mean, I would love to see it like really explode to the upside. But yeah, that's IWM, right? So obviously not at all-time highs like the Qs and SPY, but the Russell. I like the setups, right? We definitely like 3-1s over in Zamunda. We love double insides. I know this on the monthly. I know this candle is still open, but we like that. It has the potential to go 2-1-2 to the upside. Looking for the 3-2, this week, and we're looking for the 2-2 continuation. And again, you have your targets marked out as well. I got them marked out on the weekly, but I have an indicator, the Strat Teach V2, that shows the targets on the daily. So first daily target 201, second daily target 204, third daily target 205.17. And then obviously that takes you right up to the fourth one, which is also the quarterly target 205.49. All right. So that's that. Let's take a look at the Dow. All right. Again, old broad information. We did TTO to the upside on the quarter. And then we went 3-2 up on the quarter, currently in force. 2-2 continuation as well. Not quite currently at all-time highs. Obviously, we still have some targets, but obviously very, very close to doing so. Inside on the week, inside bull on the week. And then, technically we had a pullback. We went 3-1 Holy Grail, but as you can see, the bulls have been exhausting around, all three candles exhausted around the same area. So I would probably still be looking for a 3-1-2 to the upside. I know the daily is red, but the higher time frames are currently still bullish. So if this does trigger to the upside, cool. You're entering in with the trend. The day obviously would flip green, and you're entering in with the trend, so you're going with the flow, not necessarily against it. Okay. So that's the Dow. Let's see, what's the next one that I can go ahead and check out? Well, let's go alphabetical. That should bring me to XLB first. So XLB on the quarter is giving us a 3-1 currently. Obviously, this candle is not closed yet. What I always like to do is just check to see if it's below the 50. Now, being below the 50 doesn't guarantee that it's going to continue, or being above or below the 50 doesn't necessarily guarantee that it's going to continue in that direction. But I've noticed that it does kind of give you a higher chance, right? So, for example, if this one were to cross over below the 50, and let's say we still have the end of March and it keeps heading down, especially if it comes back and retests the 50 and bounces and heads back down, then I'm probably thinking, hey, we might end up with either a 3-1 with the potential to go 3-1-2 down, or potentially we can go 3-2, and vice versa if it were to be heading to the upside. I'm sorry, this is annoying. I hate the default. There we go. There we go. Like, I hate that. Yeah, so not necessarily a rule or anything like that, but we do like to look at the 50% retrace. Now on the monthly, we are 2-1-2 to the downside, but again, noticing that we're kind of exhausting around the same range. Again, this candle is still open. If we close as a 2 down, this would technically set us up for a potential 1-2-2 rev strat back to the upside. And what I mean is 1, 2 down, 2 up, right? So that's your rev strat for those that don't know what a rev strat is. Or we can, we can continue down. We can continue heading down, right? Because, it is still bearish time frame continuity on the month. But just what I would also say is just keep in mind what it would take to flip the month green. So just know that if we get above 83.47, and again, we have 3 weeks left in the month of February, if I'm not mistaken. Hold up, we got 16. Oh, well, almost 3 weeks left because the 29th just ends just shy of Friday. So technically 2 weeks and 4 days of trading. But if we get above 83.47, then what we are looking at is we have flipped the month green. Then I really like, the potential for the 1-2-2 rev strat back to the upside. And then I would also, pay attention to, I would also pay attention to what would it take to flip the quarter, because obviously the quarter is not done. So that's 84.92. We would still have a whole month left in March. So we know that if we flip that, in March, or hell, if we get a really nice run in February, then we have not only flipped the month green, but we've also flipped the quarter green as well, which would put you at that time in full time frame continuity to the bullish side. Okay. Now the weekly, bulls definitely stepped their game up for sure, right? After taking out the lows over here, right? So you have, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. After taking out those lows, you now have a new broadening formation, right? So that's boom, and then also right. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. There you go. So on the weekly, you can draw that broadening formation, right? We took out the lows, we bounced off after taking out the lows, exhausted just a little bit, um, and came back up through the range. So we are set up currently on the weekly potentially for a 2-2 reversal back to the upside. Obviously, this would be your weekly entry, and then that would be your first weekly target, that 83.71, which again, if we get up to 83, if we take out that weekly target, then we are looking at also flipping the month green, because remember, to flip the month green, it was 83.47, right? So just making you aware of that. Let me get rid of this as well too, just to keep the chart clean. Um, and then also what you have is, oh no, you don't, never mind, because that too does not get lower, so never mind. But either way, you can still, walk your targets up if you, again, decide to specifically trade XLB. But what you can also do is, if you like the way the sector is set up, one of the things that we talk about is then maybe in that sector, although you can trade the sector itself, in that sector, you can look at some of the holdings in that sector and maybe find a ticker that looks, rather similar. So a couple tickers to throw out there for XLB would be like FCX, Freeport, right? Nucor, NUE, um, Ecolab, ECL, Newmont, NEM, right? So those are a couple of the tickers in XLB that maybe you could look at if you kind of see it's showing the same kind of similar setup um, right now. And then we do have an actionable signal on the daily, inside candle on the daily, which sets us up for a potential 2-1-2 reversal back to the upside. Essentially what we're seeing here on the previous day, on Thursday, we basically closed the gap, right? And then from that point, basically pushed up on the Friday. Just couldn't take that into a 2-2 reversal. So we're set up for a 2-1-2 potential 2-1-2 reversal to the upside on the daily, which would give us, actually, let me check 1 second. So if that's the weekly entry, right? So, okay, so basically we would just need to take out the daily, the second daily target of 83.30. We take that out. We now go 2-2 reversal on the weekly, which, and then what we need to do is then basically 17 cents later, close to target 3. If we take out the third daily target, 83.49, we've now flipped the month green as well too. So, all right. So that's XLB. Next would be, if I'm going in alphabetical order, which would be XLC. Shout out to Meta, by the way, for that amazing earnings run. We definitely do not recommend, we call it gambling, like getting into trades just specifically for earnings. So we kind of call it gambling. But hey, if you did well off of that, cool. Just be careful with that, because I've seen many traders get burnt gambling on earnings, and it doesn't work out in their favor, especially with the IV crush. Yeah, so for XLC, we're not quite at, you would think, right, with the way Meta's running up, we're not quite at all-time highs, but looks like we're, trying to push to TTO to the upside on the quarter. We did go 3-2 up on the quarter, 2-2 continuation. We do TTO to the upside at 83.36. But I mean, honestly, if you really look at it from a strat perspective, all that's been happening is that this is a PMG setup to the upside. And all that's been happening is the bulls has just been knocking out target after target after target. Oh, not this one. Sorry. So we still have this target to knock out, right? So we still got 2 more targets to knock out on the quarterly. Um, but yeah, unless we get, again, some sort of a pullback, it seems like that's where XLC wants to go. I know also, besides Meta's earnings, I think Disney did very well for their earnings as well too. I think Netflix also did well for their earnings, if I'm not mistaken. I don't trade Netflix often, so I'm not sure. If anybody wants to put that in the chat, if they did well, more than welcome to help others out. But um, the main thing is that I forget when it came out, but there was an article about the government basically doing kind of a collaboration with Google. I think it was Google, Microsoft, and Nvidia, right? So for me, if the government's getting involved in it, like, yeah, that's money, right? That's definitely bullish to me. Uncle Sam don't usually, as much as we may hate, to say it, he don't normally throw away his money so lightly like that. So there's always a rhyme or a reason. So I would expect to, see XLC to continue to climb. But again, we trade. We don't keep biases. We trade what we know to be true. We stay objective, right? I'm not gonna go calls on something because it's supposed to be bullish. I'm gonna let the chart speak to me and tell me what's up. Uh, okay, cool. That's fine. So yeah, 2-2 continuation on the month after TTOing down here. Yeah, I mean, we ended up with the actionable signal on the weekly. Let me check. Did we breach the 50? Probably not. Yeah, just hovered right above it. So we'll see what's up there. And it looks like, we did go 2-2 continuation, but obviously not currently in force. So just have a game plan if it does, reverse on you. Because, there is still this gap fill down here on the daily. Hell, even that gap. I mean, it just basically gapped over the gap. So, this still hasn't been filled. So just be aware of that. But if, it continues with the 2-2 continuation, look for, again, the first target 79.58. Second target is going to be that 80.52, which actually at 79.58, that first target, when you take that first target out, that's what will take you 212 up on the weekly for XLC. But yeah, I would say, definitely, I was looking at some tickers last night. I would say definitely check out Google. I think there's some really good potential there. I will fully admit I did not look at Meta, but I will before the weekend is done. But there's also, some small account friendly tickers in XLC as well too. Yes, they may move slow, but they're still workhorses in my opinion. You got VZ, Verizon, um, actually a little small one, Warner Brothers, WBD. That actually went that one. That was a pretty nice trade a couple months back. Shout out to Big Stepper Rose who put that one on my radar. Um, yeah, really love the diversity of the Zamunda team. They like honestly, I would say there's no ticker that you can put out on Twitter right now that nobody on the team has looked at, and that's not even on some bragging shit. That's just so like the team is very meticulous with how many tickers that they look at. I think Rose looks at like 200, 250 tickers every weekend. Crazy. I thought I was crazy. I do about 100, but yeah, 200, 250. Yikes. All right, so that's XLC. Moving along alphabetically speaking, which would be XLE. So what I'm seeing with XLE, we got the 212 reversal. It just looks like it's not fully ready to drop because obviously, we're still making higher lows, so be careful with that. And obviously the quarter is not done. Um, so I would say like see how the quarter, especially if you're trying to go something long term on it, I would say see how the quarter kind of finishes out. But right now, it is, we trade what we know to be true. It is a 212 to the downside. The month is also red, but again, can't ignore that we seem to keep exhausting around this range over the past 4 months. That 83 range, something about that price cannot hold below it apparently. So Keep eyes on it for sure. I do think it will eventually continue to the downside, but um, obviously, with energy, oil, a lot of tickers that are in oil are also in energy as well too. So, and that sometimes can be um, geopolitically driven. Sometimes some news can come out saying, "Hey, we have too much supply." Oil drops. Next thing you know, a tanker gets blown up. God forbid, knock on wood, or has to reroute or just whatever to create more demand, um, and take longer for the oil to get delivered. That can also raise oil prices. So what I would say is what I do is I look at oil futures along with energy to kind of give myself some sort of a leg up when it comes to energy. But for right now, honestly, from what I'm seeing, especially on the daily, right, we seem to keep hitting a little bit of resistance around 85, and continue to head down. So, maybe we keep, trading in a range, or, maybe we finally break out one way or the other. But for right now, not really bullish on it, but I'm not necessarily ready to say, like, all right, it's definitely bearish. There are some arguments I can say for the bearishness, obviously the double top on the week here as well too. So we're looking for, even though this is a bull candle, we're looking for a 2-2 continuation to the downside, um, especially considering that this week closed lower than the open and close of the previous week, right? So, for me, that makes me think, okay, we might continue to head down. But again, we trade what we know to be true, and then we go from there. Okay. Next would be XLF. Yeah, I don't know why I thought XLI was before XLF. Y'all don't come for me. All right. Yeah, Bank's doing the damn thing, right? I know like we've been in love with like the fancy tickers, from tech and chips and the metas and the Netflix and everything, but don't sleep on financials, honestly, right? It's getting ready to, it looks like, at least for now, it's getting ready to TTO back to the upside. It's about $2 away from doing that, right? So um, possibly it can get that done before March is done. We're 3-2 up on the quarter. The month is currently inside, but very close to taking the month up at 39.45. So we're, what? That's about 30, not 33, 37 cents away from doing that. So yeah, it's possible that could even be done this week. If we trigger the week up and then we go 2-1-2 and take out the first weekly target, then we've now taken the month up and gone 2-2 continuation as well too. We did get the 2-2 reversal Thursday heading into Friday last week. So, again, we're looking for that 2-2 continuation. Looks like we might continue to push up to the upside there for financials. So, financials, you got, Brianna, aka Bank of America. You also got Wells Fargo, scammers. Um, let me not put my person. Anyway, you got Wells Fargo, you got Goldman Sachs, GS, JPM as well too, Chase Morgan, right? So there's obviously other tickers in there. I think there was one that I was looking at that I don't normally trade. USB, check that out. Check that chart out, right? I think there's some potential there for USB, right? So it's not one that you would normally trade. I believe it's small account friendly from when I was looking at the contracts last night. But yeah, definitely check it out. If you like it, cool. If you don't, then you don't got to take the trade. It is what it is. All right. Okay, so that's XLF. Next, we're going to move into XLI. Let me make sure I am All right, cool. Yeah, man. I think we have some earnings coming up for Ticker and XLI. Maybe John Deere. I could be wrong, but somebody double check that. Yeah, quarter, 3-2 up, all time highs. If you were in Zamunda, you would have known though, like, because we've been talking about XLI going back to all time highs, jokingly saying that since 1984. Chart showed it. We respect the chart, so did its thing. But yeah, essentially what we're looking for is just the month is still in force. Looking for it to stay as an in force two. Same thing for the quarter. Looking for that to stay as an in force two, and we're looking for a 2-2 continuation on the weekly. Nice little inside hammerish candle. Love how it immediately wicked. What's up, food? Love how it immediately wicked off of the same levels. Did not want to enter the gap at all over the past 3 days. Well, actually, obviously, I can't count that the third day because that's what created the gap. But Thursday and Friday did not want to enter into that gap. Said F the gap. So yeah, we're looking forward to go 2-1-2 reversal to the upside. See if the bulls take over, and yeah, keep pushing to make higher highs. I mean, that's all I can really say about XLI. And again, I think John Deere, F it. Let me just go ahead and look. Might as well, right? I mean, we got the charts right here, yeah, right? Um, ooh, interesting. Yeah, well, earnings on Thursday for John Deere. Interesting. Huh. So then what's making, let me see. You're down too. Well, not on the, never mind. Never mind. Okay. So, all right, back to XL. Actually, what's the next sector? XLI and then, oh, XLK. Of course, the popular crew, right? XLK, everybody loves tech, or I believe everybody loves tech. But yeah, tech has been running basically off of two letters, A and I. Um, bullish across the board. There's really not much for me to say. It's at all-time highs, bullish across the board. Um, no real target except for psych levels. 210, possibly 220 if it wants to keep, pushing. Lovely TTO that we see on the weekly, and then we kind of see it more in depth here on the daily. Um, just recently took the month up, currently in fourth. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's been following the same habit as the Qs, right? Every pullback has been just that, just a pullback and a run up to higher levels, basically trapping shorts every single time, so that's all I can really say about it until it shows me something different, you know, um, trade what you see, trade what you see on the chart. So XLK, from XLK, we are going to go to XLP, which is consumer staples. So XLP is also, kind of, on the larger time frame, showing signs of a reversal in the quarter. The month is a two up, just not currently in force. So far, we have, a little bit of shooter vibes. Goes back in force if it can get back above 73.65. As you can see, this week is, where it pulled back below that monthly entry of. So potentially what could have been what could be happening is, since it took the month up in the previous week, usually price will come back to retest that entry. So this could be that, and then we can see next week we might get the 212 to the upside, or we can continue down. We can continue going down with the 212. Maybe to take out some lows, maybe this low down here at 70. Actually, let me get the right number. Maybe to take down this low at 71.56 before exhausting and reversing. So just pay attention to that. As you can see though, from these broadening formations are actually very old, but as you can see, like they still get respected, still within the range, and we are still coming from the lows. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I could say with that. Uh, so I would just say, like for right now, the daily and the weekly are red, are bearish. So we could see that 2-2 continuation to the downside. I would also tell you, if you're going to chart it, make sure you're aware of what it would take to flip the month to bearishness, right? So basically, below 72.95, the month flips back to red. And then as far as the quarter, if that were to flip, it would be 71.77. So be aware of that in March. But for this month and for the end of February, be aware of that 72.95 mark. You may see, potentially if it does continue down, you may see it flip the month red, right? It may very well just be corrective activity from this run up that happened on the weekly as well too. All right. Thank you for the live. I'm not sure if you, because I don't recognize the name, because I know we use Discord names, but if you're in the Discord, of course, yeah. I'm gonna try to make this more of a weekly thing. I'm sorry, not really. No, not really sorry. Like life gets in the way sometimes, so I kind of had to slow down. Plus, work kind of got busy. Um, so I've figured out a way I think that I can kind of manage both. So yeah, I think I can make this more of a weekly thing, as well as the additional Zoom sessions that we've been doing as well too. All right. So anyway, that's XLP. Honestly, I would say chart this both ways, right? You don't want to come in here with the bias, but definitely some room to fall if it does decide to fall, right? Definitely some room to fall, for sure. Um, we're not going to jump into the fibs, but my Zamunda people, I would draw some fibs from here, to swing high and kind of see where price, check for that equilibrium. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. All right. All right. So XLP. Next is, I believe, utilities, right? XLU. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because then we have XLY, right? So, yep. So let's go ahead and go to utilities. And I think I have some old targets, so let me try to erase, because these might be. Oh no, those. Oh, that's a part of the indicator. Okay, I was like, I thought I had. Sometimes when I chart, I don't erase things because I just like to see how things played out. Just kind of more as a confirmation of, I guess, charting skills, like to make sure that you're seeing things the way that you should, which is, I would also say and recommend, because people always ask this question all the time: should I erase my broad informations after like price crosses over? No, not at all. Because sometimes again, price will come back to retest those broad informations. So, and then also like if you draw it and let's say you never entered the trade, keep it open. You never know. Your theory or your speculation or synopsis or whatever you want to call it, may have turned out to actually have been right, and it's cool to see that, because then that's more of a confidence boost that you understand what you're charting. All right. So utilities, currently inside on the quarter. Um, Honestly, like from what I'm seeing, obviously, it's a little mixed with the daily, being up. Basically, what you're seeing on the daily is that lows were taken out. So you might get, in my opinion, like a short term push to the upside. But the month is not enforced, but it's a 2-2 down, right? We're currently inside on the quarter, and we're just hugging, well, not hugging, sorry, we're just below the 50% retrace. So what I would do is, again, I would keep this up, right? Especially if you're looking at something, um, that's DD, to answer your question, that is a part of the strat teach. Let me show 1 second. That is a part of the Strat Teach V2. For the targets, to make the targets show, just down, come scroll all the way down, is a section that says show target lines. Check that box for enable targets. All right. All right. So let me go ahead and press OK. Okay. So what I would say is, because the higher time frames normally get respected a hell of a lot more than the lower time frames, right? So what you could be seeing is that on the quarter, this inside candle crossed below the 50% of the previous candle, right? Now we do have a bullish inside candle on the daily. What you could be seeing also the exhaustion on the weekly, right? So technically it took out lows, then exhausted and came up. So what you could be seeing is that short-term push to come back and retest the 50% retrace of the quarter, which is 60.74. I would say pay attention to that range for XLU because if it does essentially this, hits the 50 and comes back down, right, then that's probably a confirmation that the bears are still in force, the bears are still in, and more than likely utility is going to bleed a little bit more. Or what it could do is, touch it and go, and just come back above it. All right. So yeah, that's why I would say that's an important level to pay attention to, because even though we made lower lows on the weekly, and also the monthly, we still haven't done it on the quarter. So with the right type of catalyst, that can really push utilities bearish. All right. And just looking overall, I mean, from the daily, I can see the room to the upside, but you also have to take things in perspective. The fact that since this swing high right here, we've been doing nothing but making lower highs, right? So I don't want you to automatically like, hey, it's about to go 2-2, hey, we're about to push up. No, like see things for what they are. We're basically in. Hopefully, Strat Soldier doesn't see this because he'll probably kill me. But shit, my bad. We're basically in that downtrend. Voila. Right. So potentially, what you can see, and again, y'all don't tell Strat Soldier about this. He's pure Strat. Could see is something like that, right? Boom, 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 until we break out of this downward channel. I want to hurry up and erase it. All right, it's gone. No evidence. All right. So yeah, that's XLU. So for me, again, no bias, of course, right? But if you do go calls on it, like let's say it goes 212 reversal to the upside, just understand that overall in the bigger picture, you have been making lower lows and lower highs as well, right? So, I wouldn't, if I were to go calls, I probably wouldn't want to swing that, for months on end or even weeks out. I'll probably want to take a good profit off of it and be done with it, right? Yeah, yeah, I'm just joking, but like he's a cool guy, very pure strat. So like when I've seen it, like when other people put stuff out there like that are strategies, but put other things that are not necessary, be like, what's that? Even though he knows exactly what it is, but it's fun. It's fun to joke around with it. But yeah, all right. So that's XLU, and then next is I always forget about healthcare. I was really about to just go straight to consumer discretionary, but I always forget about healthcare. All right, so let's look at healthcare real quick. Honestly, healthcare. Oh, it finally did do the TTO. Yeah. So it's still technically above. Damn, that thing was a tease, bro. I've been waiting for that thing to do. Um, I've been waiting for it to TTO since like 1985, bro. Um, but yeah, we finally got it done. 2-2 reversal on the quarter. Um, and 2-2 continuation on the month. I mean, essentially what it's basically, it basically found, support around these levels, right? Wicked here, double bottom there, right? So found that support finally and decided to start pushing up. Um, for XLV, we did get a pullback on the daily, but what that could be is just that, a pullback, because we are seeing a lot of exhaustion. Actually, let me kind of zoom in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Right. See, so now I do have to mention, because again, no bias, right? We did close lower than Thursday's close. However, yeah, a lot of exhaustion from the downside as well too. So what we could see is, 2-2 continuation. Yes, this is a two up candle, even though it's currently not in fourth. What honestly to me, it just seems like we had a great week, right? We went 2-2 up on the week, met with a little exhaustion after making, I believe that's all time high. Yep, after hitting all time highs. So a little bit of probably profit taking, more than likely profit taking. So yeah, I mean, we could potentially see that 2-2 continuation. Again, if it does pull back, I would say, again, shout out to Biker, draw your fibs, see where, price could drop down to and potentially reverse. Kind of like, this area right here, just, kind of eyeballing it, right? Exhausting around the same area, finding a little support around there. If it were to drop that low, I'm not saying it will, but you do want to be aware of things like that as well. But overall, I like XLV to the upside. As a matter of fact, Pfizer, I believe I gotta chart it more in depth with the hybrid timeframes. But yeah, I think Pfizer, just from the quick look I did last night, I think fiber. Wow, I think there's something there for Pfizer. Chart it if you like it, cool. If you don't, then that's okay too. You don't have to take my place. That's completely fine. But yeah, some other tickers. You got Abbott, ABT. You have AbbV, ABBV, Moderna, mRNA, Johnson, J&J, Johnson and Johnson, excuse me. United Health. Shout out to Ali from Zamunda. Um, UNH, right? So yeah, I'm sure I'm missing a couple of tickers, but those are a couple that kind of put you on the right path. If you see any that are, looking rather similar to the chart or looking bullish on the chart, then yeah, I would say, it's probably worth putting on your radar. To be honest with you, there's a lot of setups in the market, in my opinion. There's a lot of setups with a lot of tickers in the market right now. So even to the bearish side, there's setups to the bearish side. So just make sure you chart it out. Make sure you have your own conviction in your play. Understand why you're getting into it. Understand what your targets are. Literally have your game plan written out. If it does this, then I'm going to do that. If it does that, then I'm going to do this. All right. All right. Last but not least, consumer discretionary. So, just off the top of my head, I think there was two tickers that I like from consumer discretionary, Amazon and Tesla. I encourage you to go ahead and chart those out. But yeah, looking at this, consumer discretionary, we're Holy Grail currently 3-1. Obviously, the quarter's not done, and we are very close to taking the quarter up. Less than $3 away from taking the quarter up. We've already gone 212 on the month. We're in force, so we just want to see it hopefully push up, and take out that first monthly target of 182.19, which again subsequently would be your quarterly entry, taking you 3-2 up. So just remember that. That would be your second weekly target as well too. If you're doing your trading based on the weekly time frames, this would be your first target after you, if it does go to the upside and you break entry. Your first target on the weekly would be 181.46. Second target would take the quarter up as well too, at 182.19. Honestly, we're looking for 2-2 continuations across the board, except for obviously the month is not done, so we're just looking for the month to continue pushing up, and we're looking for a 3-2 on the quarter. But as far as the week, assuming the market is still bullish, we're looking for 2-2 continuations for both weekly and also the daily as well too. And again, all that we're seeing here, if you look back historically over the past couple of weeks, days, I should say, price is basically taking out the targets of this PMG setup to the upside. This will be your next target, and then 181.46 will be the completion of this PMG setup to the upside. If you don't know what a PMG setup to the upside is, if you're in Zamunda, check the education tab. If you're not in Zamunda, get your ass in Zamunda and we'll explain it to you. Or look it up online. You're more than welcome to. And that's about it. If there's any questions, I'm going to shut up for like the next 2 minutes, 3 minutes. If there's any questions whatsoever, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, that's about it. We'll go over, for the Zamunda people on Sunday, we'll go over the other non-traditional sectors, such as the cloud sector, cybersecurity, EV sector as well too. So yeah, we'll have some more information there. But looks like there are no questions. All right, so I want to thank you for joining the live. Definitely appreciate the support. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be doing this more often. And it's not just a live, we'll be dropping some educational videos as well too on the YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. Just type in Zamunda Profit Squad. Definitely tap into that. You can find me on Twitter as well too. Check the description in the live. I put the link in there. You can find me on Instagram as well too. I appreciate it. And y'all have a good night, evening.